And welcome to the stream. I'm Monita, aka OCC707. Today, we are making history with the first ever New Zealand IESF qualifiers. So get ready for a day filled with intense competition, amazing gameplay, and top-tier content and talent from all over the country. Introducing the two epic teams, Plenty Fast Food and Team Crimson Solace. They will face off in a single series best-of-7 format. Who will win and have the chance to represent New Zealand in the international scene? Stay tuned and find out. But always, remember to like and share the stream, show your support for your favorite team by commenting below, and use our official hashtag, hashtag IESFNZ, hashtag WEC24, hashtag NZESPORTS, hashtag OCCANZ, hashtag MLBB. Now let's pass the mics to our awesome casters, OSX and Kronos. Take it away, guys.
Hello! Yo guys, what's up? I'm checking in if I am seen or heard. Hello. Am I? Okay, here we go. You guys, what's up? Good afternoon or whatever. Good morning. Wherever you are in the world right now, thank you for tuning in. And if ever you can't see me, well, welcome to the IESF qualifiers right here in OCC. And where's my partner? Kronos! Are you here, man?
Always sex. You got that energy going. I got that energy going, brother. I think we're pumped, and I know for a fact the crowd is gonna go crazy because we have two big teams going up against each other. And let's not forget, this is the IESF World Esports Championship qualifiers, right? The winner represents the country, represents Oceania in the World Esports Championship in Riyadh. That's gonna be happening in Saudi Arabia later on in the year. But for now, guys, for those of you who are watching, my name is Kronos. Obviously, you just heard OSX, who's going to be casting beside me, and I think we're just ready to break it down, get ready, I think the teams are hungry. It's a best of 7 OSX, and what do you think's going to happen right now?
In a best of 7, we've seen, or I've witnessed a lot of teams make different adjustments per game. I think what's important for these teams to actually have a great start is to have that first momentum, especially when you have it in the very first game. I think in 7 games, possibly that could happen. I think you want to get that best foot forward just in case things might go wrong, because in a best of 7 the losing team can actually be in a winning side or a losing side. But if you want to have that consistent way of winning, you start with the first game, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. It's about that momentum, right? For best of 7s, like you mentioned, you've seen a lot of things go up and down. It all comes down to these small, minute changes, and you never know. The first one to pull out their trump card will be the one to come out on top, because momentum is going to be a key factor, especially in a 7-game series, a long, grueling 7-game series where mentality comes into play. You need to have the strong mental going, and of course, the one with the first game, the first victory, is definitely going to have the upper hand. It's going to channel into this big snowball that the other team might not be able to stop, just because they'll be afraid of certain power picks that might be coming in from the other side. And if any of the teams have some sort of a play that they want to make, it's going to be now, or it's now or never. So at this point, it's all or nothing for both teams. Yes, it is game 1, but it's still, it all comes down to the fact that you want to get that momentum going in your favor. So if both the teams are hearing me out, you got to know, guys, you got to get your pocket picks out. This is game number 1. No better way to make a statement here in this IESF World Esports Championship qualifiers. And I think we're pumped to get right into the game. What do you think, OSX? We should jump right in?
I think we should. You've mentioned about mentality, you mentioned about power picks. I want to see how this region actually have different flavors to show. I mean, from all of the countries that we've witnessed through qualifiers, even in just being online, we've seen different picks, we've seen different kind of strategies actually show up, because in this kind of tournament, we're looking at grassroots meta picks, because in different regions it varies. Sometimes we see a fighter or even a mage being drawn into maybe in a gold lane or even in the jungle. I'm excited how this flavor shows, especially for New Zealand. A lot of players would actually benefit from watching top tier tournaments, especially in the professional scene. a lot could actually show. But I'm really interested on having that unique flavor that they can offer in this qualifiers.
And I like how you mentioned, like, about the specific region in general and looking at the meta that's been going around throughout the world. And like you mentioned, we've seen a lot going on in different regions, a lot of top tier MPL countries, a lot of the B tier tournament countries, a lot of the A tier tournament countries. We know that we've seen a lot go out throughout, and it's how it's channeled
Yeah.
out into different metas with the current patches taking into place. So how well with the country of New Zealand, how well did the region of Oceania actually adapt to this current meta that has changed with the recent patches that have come through? And also, how are they gonna make an impact and show what they have? Like you mentioned, the grassroots meta picks, right? That's something that not everybody knows. Because yes, there's an overall meta, but at the same time, there's something that you favor, something that you've been playing for such a long time. And when it comes to these, I think this region might actually have a surprise for us, not just as casters, but at the same time, I know we love and have passion for the game OSX. And looking at that, I think we don't know what to expect at this point, and that's why I'm so hyped up about this. I'm so pumped, and I know for a fact that it's going to be an exciting best of 7 series. But before that, I think we have to confirm the 2 bans that'll be coming in from either teams. And I think I can't just wait for that, because I see a Ling and a Harris band that's up and ready coming in from one side, and Xborg and Rogers from the other. So looking at the bans, OSX seems like it's a little bit of a meta ban already, except for that Ling that I'm a little preemptive ban. You think?
Could be specific, because if you want to talk about focused on the grassroots elements or being in the meta right now, I had a game yesterday. Like right now, the assassin picks in this patch favors them so well. But in the Philippines or in other side of the country, especially in Asia, it's all about the utility that you want to give out. And if you want to go assassin, you have to build a composition that could actually work just in case things might go wrong. Yeah, I felt a bit of frustrations about the Ling. Again, it could be a double-edged sword. If ever you missed out on that purple, or you missed out on invading a purple of the enemy camp, things could actually be not in your way. And if they have a strong capability of an early crowd control or a great crowd control, especially with the Mathilda, things could be in favor for the opposing team. Because if we want to talk about the Xborg, the Roger, well, I'm excited how this kind of bans would actually turn out in this kind of series. Because if they're focused on the Harith, yep, it's the red side assignment. If you might see in some of the games, Harith should be banned at most of the times, because there's some cases that specific hero you don't want to mess with, especially early game. It's all magic damage, and you don't want to get into your head. Because for me, I consider it as an anti-marksman kind of strong meta pick right now, and you need to be sure on where to actually place that.
Yeah, absolutely, right? He's perfect anti-marksman. It is the gold lane king at the moment, you can say. Harith is the gold lane king indefinitely, because there's no other way to actually get that countered. And that's why you gotta ban it out, especially if you're on the red side, because that's like first pick material. Anyone, any given child currently that just started playing Mobile Legends, if they pick up Harith, they're probably gonna beat you in the gold lane. That's how strong he is. And even after getting hit with the nerf, even after getting hit with the nerf hammer, he is still a really dominant presence in the gold lane. But at the moment, the draft is set, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting straight into it. Look at that Novaria being taken out from the blue side, and on the red, the Benedetta. So I think this Benedetta comes down to the fact that it's a target ban, because they know what the opposition have to play. So you can tell that both these teams have done their homework at this point, and this is the kind of bans that we want to see. Don't give them their comfort zone. Don't let them get into their comfort zone right off the bat, because it's the best of 7 series, and anyone who gets the upper hand right off the bat will have the advantage. The Kaja being taken up, meaning that on the blue side, they are looking to play some sort of assassin, and I think it all comes down to this big flexible assassin picks that might be going for. I know you mentioned that the Link might be getting kind of like a double-edged sword, and it really is, but it's that risk that you got to be willing to take.
Speaking of risk, I love how they banned out the Novaria, even the Kaja. Something tells me that this team would actually want to have a free roam early game. You don't want that specific target lock pick on from a Kaja. Wow, an Angela first pick for the squad to actually be be ready to even gambit against a Ruby on XP lane, or you've mentioned about being a flex hero, it still could be in a jungle. We've seen how Ruby is always flexible in terms of getting or what role could actually be in the possible situation. But if Yuzong and Ruby is being present in the first two picks, well, we expect Yuzong to be in the EXP. For the Ruby, I could still consider this as a flex pick, knowing that it could still be in Rome or even in the gold lane. We've seen it so far. How do you see this if it goes in the gold lane? Because with the presence of the Angela alone, this team could actually set up for an assassin pick right away. Oh, forget about that. It's utility. Never mind. Cross that out.
You know, I like the Ruby pick. Like you mentioned, it can be flexible in the gold lane, yes, but it all comes down to these next few picks and how they're gonna get targeted, right? And now if you take a look at the other side, they already got the Rizzler. I like to call him the Rizzler, right? He is the one that's gonna dive into the back line, be in your face entirely, gonna wave his hair, trying to show off his skills, and this is the Rizzler that's gonna be annoying. Groovy Groove is gonna be running this at the moment as we see, and Noob Master 69 gonna be picking up this Barrett. Yes, the Barrett's got hit with the Nerf Hammer. He's not as strong as we thought he would be compared to the previous patches, just because he got hit with a Nerf Hammer for his skill 1. His jungle clear has been cut off a little bit, so he's not going to be that early game dominant presence, but as he scales into the mid and late game, he is still going to be a dominating factor. He's going to be eating up all that damage. He's going to be tanking for the rest of his team. He always has the deadness welcome to make sure he provides the suppression whenever necessary. So yes, he's going to be a big factor, and paired along with his Angela, going to be a big problem. And I like the counter being picked up on the other side with this Lilia as well, so you know both the teams know what they're gonna do in this game, and loving the Lilia pick. So I think this Ruby is gonna be a roam. I'm not sure if they're gonna really flex it in the jungle, but the further bans being the Natan as well as the Fredrin. So I think they're looking for a tanky jungle on the right side as well. And the Fredrin, mind you, OSX, I think I've never seen a Fredrin get through so fast in the draft just to be banned out in the second phase.
I was about to say that. You read through my head. Like, how? In most cases, the Fredrin in the second phase, really? And maybe we want to kind of see this kind of possibility of these teams who would actually have this own uniqueness and flavor. Because if they had the priority on the Angela and the EXP, something else, but they want to go team fight heavy, crowd control, utility heavy, well, I think the other team understood that with the carry pick. So with this kind of life you mentioned about, it's good to have a Lily, it's good to have a Yuzong as well, to have a backline penetration for team fights. But for these two picks that we see in for CSL, it could be reliant on time for mid lane, especially on the early to mid game, to have that proper way of amplifying the damage and the items that they need to go forth and cross that situation. Because in the early game, with the Angela being present, once it hits level 4, the Sparrows and the Rizla, they have more ways to rotate. But that good last pick with the Mathilda, I think this answers out, yeah, we need to cross the bridge, but if the Mathilda does great work on how to counter the vision and how to properly invade the other side of the team, I think this could actually work.
The way that it's going about, yeah, like you mentioned, is Mathilda gonna be in the room. I think if Ruby in the jungle, I don't think I've ever seen a Ruby in the jungle, like apart from really like few seasons ago. I'm excited to see this, but the chain CC is gonna be real, right? Because this current meta has to be either you cannot move or I can move too much. That's what I like to call it. So the fact that you cannot move with the chain CC that's being set out from the side of the red team, which I believe is CSL, and on the blue side is plenty of food. And now, right now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends of all ages, let's start get ready to get into the land of dawn for the IESF World Esports Championship qualifiers coming in from New Zealand. My name is Kronos. Alongside me is OSX. OSX, take it away, my friend.
Oh, we're looking at the early game start as expected. We're looking at the Mathilda being present in most of the counter visions. Look at that pokes coming from JR and also the Mathilda. I think this is one great importance of having this last pick Mathilda on this team, because you have the carry, you have the Lilia. You need more time to amplify that. I mean, we're looking at the pokes that these two putting pressure on mid actually give so much way for their gold lane or carry or for Sake to actually have a way to get more damage and items in for his team.
Yeah, I know. All we want to make sure Sake doesn't get drunk off the power that he's allowed in the early game, because right now we see Mile Ron, Gold Solace just providing so much space for the team. And look at JR, and we know, like I mentioned earlier, this Barrett, you know, he doesn't scale as, he's not as tanky as he used to be, before this current patch, and right now they gotta make the most out of it and make sure they hinder his early game presence to be able to melt him down quite easily in the late game. And that's gonna be the power of this Lilia and Saki on this gold lane with this carry as well. So Gold Sol is just doing quite a lot, providing vision and getting control of the river as a Matilda should. So going well for the side of CSL. Crimson Solace so far, but in the meantime they're looking to gank the bot lane as Plenty Fast Food and Touch My Bun is gonna have a tough time. Yeah, he realizes that get out of harm's way. As the turtle's about to spawn 10 seconds, they focus their attention towards the EXP lane.
Well, touch my bun. Something tells me this guy spends a lot of time in the bakery, or even in the morning, you know? Especially in the summer or even in the winter, you want to have that good time on snack time. But now, speaking of snacks, 3-man pressure onto that Angela, right onto the turret. That's giving a kill out onto the carry. So, okay, we're talking about 2 hero picks that Team CSL has that we were trying to paint a picture that they might shine from maybe mid to late game, but getting that first skill, that's all about stepping up the momentum. But hold that, things are happening way too close up top. A 3-man on low HP, Circling Eagle used to catch one, but that Valentina totally countered out damage right onto 2 from Team CSL.
The timing of the fights that have been picked up by CSL as well, right? They got the Angela just before they're able to get the level 4 power spike, and at the same time, it all comes down to looking at the hard guard being used on towards Chilawi right now, and going in on towards Jair to pick up the kill. The Petrify along with the Furious Staff coming in, Arxis able to pick up another one. I'm Offended being used as well, and Mileron able to pick up the pieces, and right now here comes the Cavalry, Groovy Groove Fall. That's a 4-man dive at the point, and 4 people going down except for Touch My Bun, who's down in the bot lane trying to get the heat going by getting a little bit of the gold in the turret shield, but the rest of his team just able to fall down, and now the gold lead starting to extend. It's about 1,000, and now you can see the dominance when it comes to these invades into the jungle, where Mileron is just going to be able to pick up these jungle creeps and hinder the growth and the scaling potential of Note 69 right now.
Scaling potential, it's all about team fighting capability. Looking back on how that team fight went, that was one of the problems that needs to be addressed by the other team. Because if you look at how the competition goes with the Barretts, the Angela, is more likely could be ending at reactive. Hold that, Circling connecting to 1. Touch My Bun, looks like it'll be one heck of a heart guard. It's gonna save him out of that possible takedown, but CSL with the pressure and Sake cutting out the lanes as well. Looks like this is purely pressure being continued by CSL. Momentum slowly building up for this team.
Yeah, momentum, that's the name of the game right now. You want to get the momentum of this game. You want to get the momentum of the series. It all starts with game number 1 in this early game. And Touch My Bun so close and, about to fall down. But meanwhile, the top lane, the Yu Zhang gets a little close for comfort. He gets shut down instantly by the Terizla. Here, I'm Offended in the bot lane. So trade for trade coming in from either teams. None of them want to let go. And they're here to say that, hey, we're here to dominate this game. And we want to make sure we make our presence felt in the Land of Dawn. And that's exactly what's happening, because right now Sake will be getting this tier 1 down bot, and if I'm not, the top side should be proxied, but there's no response coming in from the side of Plenty for Food.
Okay, looks like Mileron literally touched the bun of Claude right away in that kill. If you want to scale up quickly, and pace could actually be a great factor for this Claude to happen, I think they need to be wary of how to position this Claude, because if you need damage, right now this team really relies on defensive, but not mostly on the aggressive side, because they don't have the damage just yet. Yes, they have the Angela being present most of the reactive team fights, but the one thing that they could actually have reliance on damage could come from Claude or even Valentina. But the problem that Team CSL has been doing since the very beginning is the pressure of this Matilda alone, by the vision he's been giving to Mileron. They force out so many team fights, and they keep on answering those kinds of mistakes. And that's the thing that they need to just, be careful with this team. And slowly they're taking the defenses of the lanes one by one from top to mid.
I know it all comes down to how they're able to get these neutral objectives, and like how you mentioned that the damage has to come out from Touch My Bun right now, because they're looking at him for the late game presence, and now not having a great early game will be a problem for them, especially this Valentina as well. And I think if you look at Sake, oh my god, he gets caught, but he's able to get out of there. Meanwhile, Detna's welcome onto her Gold Solace, who's trying to battle for the Circling Eagle, is able to dash out of there using the Guiding Wind, and look at that, while they're doing that, that was just a distraction for Sake to start sieging down this mid lane tier 1. Meanwhile, Run does have the I'm Offended. He gets connected on towards Groovy Groove, who can't really do much because he already expended the flicker. He expended the penalty zone without catching anybody off guard. And right now you can tell CSL are slowly but surely starting to press their momentum. Top lane tier 2 taken down, mid lane tier 1, bot lane tier 1. Next they'll be looking at getting the tier 2s mid and bot lane, while I'm Offended connecting once again on towards Noob Master. A hard guard being used, and Groovy Groove getting got caught by the Black Dragon. And here come the speedy light wheels. They get the kill on towards Noob Master, and Fat Penguin is the next one to fall. And so slowly, CSL starting to press their advantage, and nobody can stop the Petrify, the Furious Dive combination. Blazing Duet being used as well. They still fall down to the Shaw. Ashton Shaw rested, and Groovy Groove getting down again. That is a 4 kills going in towards the side of CSL once again. Down there, now you can see that the snowball is starting to show, and with this goal lead, OSX, I think they're starting to slowly rack up this lead.
Yep, speaking of lead, then just by Gold Solace alone, using his utility to just micro play everyone out of this team, just answers a lot of problems right now. And they've been looking to find a greater way of catch, or even a -1 from CSL, but it's so hard. It was even a struggle to get Gold Solace to get that possible final secure kill, just because of the guiding wind and how he managed to escape a slaughter out of that team is really just becoming a problem. It's just two people just dealing amount of pressure, and the minions just keep pushing in most of the lanes, and this is how they want to continue momentum out of this team. CSL doing a great way to even suspend the possibility of a comeback here against this team.
And now look at that. Gold Solace just providing so much vision by himself, exactly reiterating what you said is going to be a problem. Let's take a look at the items, right? 4x being built on the Yuzhong, never mind. Mile Run wants to pick a fight. I'm Offended being used. Penalty Zone comes up, but the speedy light wheel might be too much for them to tank, and there it is. Killing spree on towards Sake, but now the rest of the team can't really do much because there's no frontline presence. Its Barrage is being melted quite easily because this carry is online, folks.
Speaking of being online, that's damage. That's a great pull from I Offended. So one thing that scares me out is there's only one Purify from Plenty Fast Food, so that's going to be from the Claude. So with that kind of escape that he can do, he hasn't been using it just yet. Just because of crowd control, everybody just gets pulled in, just as this. Circling Eagle connecting to one Noob Master, 69 falls down. That's the turret being taken down as well. Look at the HP bars dropping down. They're trying to hold this turret down bottom, but look at that, just the Yuzong alone forced out members out of Team Fast Food. The penalty zone connecting on 3, just continuing the damage and the slaughter out of this team. Slowly getting inside the base, but turret's still up, but they still managed to hold it through. A very risky move for CSL to just go through.
Yeah, CSL trying to bite off more than they could chew, right? They wanted to take the mile while the other side were giving them the inch, but unfortunately, Touch My Bun is starting to get online. You can see the damage starting to show. Meanwhile, the Shadow Energy Bombs coming out from JR. Black Juice being used as well, trying to bait out as much as he can. The last man standing for the side of CSL, and all thanks to the follow-up coming from Groovy Groove and Touch My Bun with that penalty zone, the Blazing Duet down bot. And I think at this point, they've bought enough time for themselves, able to hold on to the inhibitors. I think the only passive that procced was the bot lane, losing about half HP. And right now, they've been looking at Touch My Bun as well as Chilawi to definitely dish out the damage. And if they got to start respecting their damage, otherwise it's going to be too little too late from the side of Gold Solace. And I wish we could take a look at the item just to see how far they've got through.
Well, speed of items, we're seeing 2 R-Axis. 1 Golden Staff, 1 DHS. So speed of online damage is slow. It's really being so present for CSL to actually fight back. But one thing that's coming into my mind, that they were trying to engage right onto the last 3 inhibitor turrets of Team Fast Food, but it was kind of a risky play that they want to press even in that moment, because I was kind of thinking where do you want to have this -1 right away, because if that was a perfect execution for Claw to just keep on using that Blazing Duet. And I think that's one way they need to be wary of, on how the crowd control could actually be a counterplay for this team to actually use against them. And if you want to keep on invading like this, you want to take down the turrets. Good thing the Lord is here, Chronos.
The Black Dragon going in, trying to zone them away. The Lord marching down, gets the enabler, but there's the flicker penalty zone at the same time. I'm Offended being used. Blazing Duet comes out. Furious Dive being used as well. The Cloud gets instantly melted by the speedy light wheels. That's a double kill onto where Sake. The rest of the team has to back up because they have no way to tank all this damage, while the side of CSL just go straight for the base crystal, pick up game number 1 in this best of 7 series.
That's the momentum that we're talking about. CSL taking the first lead. I was kind of thinking in that specific moment of that game, probably the Angela could be the answer for the Claude to do the blazing duet dive. But one thing that we're trying to see was the resources was out, especially the heart guard for the Angela to respond in. So they were kind of pushed to answer the situation if they want to fight or not. But CSL completely having a way of dominance, and this is purely their game number one. Let's see. I'm excited how the other team actually adjusts to that kind of specific gameplay, because for the Angela, the Barretts to actually pull through, the damage setup is there, but the damage could actually be the answer for CSL if they want to push it further in the later stage of the game. But that specific moment ended in 11 minutes, Kronos.
I mean, it all came down to the fact that the Spirits was not able to have that early game presence, right? He didn't have that early game kind of babysitting that you can say he needed, because, right, like I mentioned, minute one, minute two, not the strongest. You want to get that first turtle if you want to get something going for yourself. And I think Plenty Fast Food did really try to get the Barretts going, but not having enough river control. It all came down to how this Matilda really provided that vision, how it provided all that poke for the team of CSL just to be dominant in that river. And usually you get to see an Angela being aggressive level 2 as well, but it all stacked up really well with the opposition, and it just came to the fact that there was no way for them to make a comeback. And yes, like you mentioned, we did see a dive into the bot lane during for the fight for the inhibitors. They went all in, but at the same time they had such a massive goal lead at that point that it didn't matter that 4 of them got taken down. And now it just comes to show about how we'll be going into the next game, because we know for a fact it's a best of 7. Plenty Fast Food need to go back to the drawing board, chalk up a new plan, and bring something else for us to see. Because right now, if this is the way that they're going about getting countered in the draft a little bit, they might have to look at what their game plan is and maybe change it up a little bit.
Changing the game plan. They ban out the Xborg, the Roger, the Harith. One thing was also missing. The Arlet was open for a
Louis
team
was
faster.
open.
Louis was open. A lot of great power picks to be open, and yeah, with that specific pick that we saw from that game, from the very first time that the draft happened, it was kind of like focused on either the EXP or even the jungle. We rarely see Fredrin being banned in the second phase. So from that moment, I kind of felt like maybe this is their own way of doing their own flavor, because every grassroots tournaments that I actually witnessed has a different flavor that actually works for themselves. It could kind of look messy or different on some people who's watching the stream right now, but in most cases it works for them. So it's all about the adjustment that they need to do heading into game number 2. And who knows, we might actually see a different pick this time around, because the Benedetta was even a ban in the first game. You think? Did you even see that? Like, it was like kind of focused on the EXP.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what you mentioned about the flavor, right? Because, yeah, it is a grassroots tournament. It's regions that are not so well known, but trying to make their presence felt globally, definitely have their own meta, their own comfort picks that they're much more reliant on. And that's why we saw this Benedetta ban coming out. And I know we don't see Benedetta bans often, but I think when we see it, it's those respect bans, knowing that they can't really do anything to a Benedetta. And mind you, OSX, and mind me as well, because we know for a fact if you're a good Benedetta, there's no possible way you're going to catch that one, because an eye for an eye, instantly you get a reverse CC'd, and next thing you know, the entire collapses on them. So I think that's the fact that they're gonna watch out for. So maybe they're still gonna go for the Benedetta ban. But I think when it comes to having a lot of these hero pools open, they have the Louis, the Arlot that you mentioned, the chip that's open, just got buffed recently, providing so much pressure around the map, that's always available. There's the Fredrin that was let through quite easily. That's not supposed to happen most of the times, because if you want to be and compete against the top, be the best team, especially here in New Zealand, I think for a fact that you gotta be not letting these power picks through. You gotta pick them up. You gotta make sure you utilize them at the most. And also in the gold lane, quite a lot of changes have happened. The Herod was, yes, it's banned out, but at the same time, Tan was also led through the second phase. That's something that can be picked up later as well. So Roger banned out, yes, given. But at the same time, they need to find a little bit more flexibility on their side. Edith was left open, that's slowly making its way back into the meta. The Lapu Lapu is available if they have that in their arsenal. So we know there's a lot of picks that are available. It just comes down to the fact that whether these teams are able to think about that particular way to approach the draft, and not just tunnel vision when getting into the game, saying that hey, there'll be a problem with the Benedetta, there's no way to counter it, maybe we don't know what's going on exactly. Look at the Ling, the Moscow being taken off, the Xborg, and the Roger. What do you think, OSX?
Ling, yeah, we're seeing it twice now, and also I like the ban of Moscow as well. So with this 4 choices of bans that we see, this opens up the Harith. So I'm thinking of a great way to counter the Harith, either from the Moscow, the Natan, or something that it can reach the back line or hold them off. So I think most of the choices that we might see in game number 2's draft could still be a race of stealing the power picks. With the Harith being present here, I have this kind of certain feeling that it might show up, or maybe Team CSL gets it for themselves, because if you want to talk about having that free way of team fighting and pairing it up with a Minotaur, even a Mathilda, things could actually work out with the Harith. So let's see, we're in game number 2, and draft could actually be a different change for Team Fast, but they need to get those food up and get the energy up and running, because it could be a different adjustment that we might see.
The adjustment we want to see for sure, because if they're not going to change anything, they're just going to run it back, it might be a problem. The Barrett's been taken off the table by Team CSL this time. What will play? I mean, I forgot. I think it's PFF. Let's just keep it as PFF, their name, right? I play fast food, I believe. That's what their team name is. Let's just keep it as PFF for now. But I think we want to see, you got to give out the ban. You got to ban the Harith. You cannot leave it open. Yeah, I was about to say, you got to respect that Harith and take it off the table. Because if you do, you're just asking for trouble at this point. And on the other side, the Yu Zhang was good. The Natan being taken off, understandable, because when it starts scaling to the late game, he kind of does true damage after a certain point. So it just goes to show that they don't want to deal with that late game presence. Now the other side, what are they willing to give away? The Fredrin is still available. The Arlot's up for grabs. The Matilda is still there. The Angela's available. A lot for them to pick from. They go for the Tigreal. So they don't want to pick any. They don't want to get caught in team fights. Understandable, but now you just leave the entire board open, right, OSX?
Yeah, open for the Louis, or open for the Fredrin. What more? We are open to see more of the Arlot. Oh, a very early Yu Zhang pick. Maybe someone tells me that this is so much beneficial in their team fights, because most of the skirmishes we see from game number 1 was mostly the pressure from the back line, and maybe they want to just be consistent on that. But it was kind of a bit too early to even start, because if power picks, we've been trying to paint it here at the very beginning that a lot of great power picks could actually be used. We kind of forgot about the health Kurt. That could still be a possibility, but okay, Vexana and Kufra. Yeah.
Who needs power picks, right?
Okay, show the flavor out. I'm liking this Vexana first pick, but the Kufra a bit too early, because there's still a slot for the ban. I mean, Diggy's still open if you want to use it against this team. So you need to be careful on how you want to attack this second and third pick. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, not just the Diggy, even the Minotaur is open, right? I like the Carmilla coming this time. I like the Carmilla. I like the Faramis. I like the draft, that the way that CSL is going about. Yes, they went for an early Yu Zhang pick, but I think that's just to secure Arxis, just because how much of a factor he was in game number 1, diving into the back line, being a problem with this Black Dragon, make sure his presence is felt, and just be on top of Chilawi and touch my bun the whole time. So making sure that the pressure is still on for in game number 2. And Groovy Groove once again pick up the Terizla. He did a fantastic job in game number 1, able to cast them with the penalty zone, able to cast them with the flicker. I like that, but like you mentioned, once again, this Kufra coming out a little too early. Vexana is a great pick as well. Just as Kufra a little too early. Maybe they just rely on Fat Penguin to give those big setups, those big time revenges, the big rages, convert into something. But right now, every time they try to dive in, there is that big Nether Realm, along with the Curse of Blood from the Carmilla, which could be the big difference maker. The Fredrin being taken off the table. I mean, mean, there's a possibility of this Carmela going to the roam, but the Fanny being taken off. So they're trying to know, they're trying to bait out. They figure out that the other sides possibly want to go for a Fanny, and I've seen some OSX. I've seen some great Fannies here in New Zealand while casting the
Yeah.
OCC. I saw an absolute monstrous Fanny, right? So I don't know if he's playing this game, but I'm about to say I think they're trying to cook something up from the side of CSL.
And this specific focus ban, something tells me that great Fanny picks or great Fanny users are really present. Wow, a Hanabi!
Oh my god.
Wow, Hanabi! Never in my life that I've seen this kind of chance to cast a game with a Hanabi inside of a tournament. Wow, I'm loving the OCC region right now.
Hey, it's about that flavor you ask, it's flavor you get. Because right now in the land of Dawn, ladies and gentlemen, get ready for you're gonna see a Hanabi in the goal lane, rocking those ninja scrolls, making sure you see the Higanbana come online. Because right now, Gold Solace here, picking up the Angela this time, and want to make their presence felt in the mid lane. Another early game pressuring, roamer, and pair that up with the Irithel. I think we saw this combo about 2 seasons ago. OSX, the Angela Irithel combo. This is going to be absolutely nasty, kiting all that damage and getting the heavy crossbow online. And on the other side, now they need a jungler. Are they gonna, there's so much available. There's the Boxia, not really favorable, but they go for the Lancelot. No Master 69 with the Assassin being pulled out in game number 2 in this best of 7 series. The IESF World Esports Championship qualifiers from New Zealand between CSL versus PFF. It looks like a cracker game so far.
The road to Riyadh that we're about to witness from these two teams to show prowess and talent on how they could actually qualify for this chance. But look at the last 2 picks. Carmilla on the jungle versus a Lancelot. Not so sure about the Lancelot with so much crowd control paired with the Angela and as well as the Faramis. So they need to be sure on how to utilize this Kufra and the EXP, because if we're looking at damage, the damage department of the other team or PFF, it could rely on the Hanabi or even for the Vexana, but they still need time to get those items in. So for the other side of the early game, I'm favoring CSL to have a window to utilize against this team. I want to know how they want to counter this, because there's a lot of problems by just looking at the face value and the picture right now in the draft, don't you think?
I agree. The picture that they're trying to paint for sure seems a little different compared to game number 1. But right now, look at that Shadow Stampede from JR. Fat Penguin charging the Revenge. Doesn't really catch anyone. So there's no Purifies as well coming in from the side of CSL. So absolutely not respecting Fat Penguin whatsoever. Except for Sake. Yes, it's a goal laner, but I think they need to respect the big setup potential, the chain CC that's possible from the side of PFF. He's charging the Revenge. It doesn't want to go in. And we should be looking at a gold lane gank coming in anytime soon.
Yeah, speed of the gold lane. The pressure and focus could still be on the side of Hanabi. They forced the flicker out of that Kufra, so that's a main huge resource early game against the roamer of Team PFF. So pressure could actually be still continued by CSL. Just keep on going, and they could just keep on ride the tide on how they started this way. Gold space, Sake. I rarely see an Irithel as well these days, but I'm happy just to see Irithel and Hanabi just showing up in this tournament, because it's all about making their own uniqueness and draft work. But let's see how the Hanabi will favor this kind of lineup, because there's no escape. The only way that she could utilize the toolkit is just having that skill 1, that CC immunity, and maybe the Aegis. But looking at the first one to actually go, it's not going to be to Rizla, but looking at that ultimate connecting onto 2, looks like this is the counter, but they want to do against Noob Master 69. Crowd control right onto that Assassin, an advantage for Team CSL to take the objective. Meanwhile, this Faramis just keeps on pulling everybody out on that specific turret, buying more time for Milron to take the first objective of the game.
Yeah, and I think over there they thought they were going to get the first blood. Never mind, the turtles being picked up, penalty zone being used, Purify pop from Sake. Here comes the Black Dragon as well, just to zone them out. And meanwhile, in the top lane, the Hanabi just getting a lot of free farm. And yeah, that interaction in the bot lane, I think there was like some sort of skill delay issue, maybe, because we saw the Petrify come up, but we did not see any damage or any skills being used from Arxis. Could have been skill cooldown as well, and they weren't able to pick up the first blood. Instead, he gets picked up himself. And yes, in under that turret, right, the farmist, the JR, he went in deep and wasn't really able to do much. And Fat Penguin has been missing out on his Tyrant Revenges so far, but I think if he lands a big fat one, paired up with the big Eternal Guardian, the black, the big penalty zone, it could just be a chain CC for the rest of the game. And Faramis not having a Purify might come back to cost them, because the Netherrealm not going up on time could be the difference maker. And here, look at that Tyrant's Revenge, Tyrant's Rage, along with the Heart Guard, just to make sure Saki survives. Heavy Crossbow comes in, they're trying to kite beautifully, but here Thorn Rose gets the kill. Curse of Blood coming out, but not enough damage, as Noobmaster 69 will be able to puncture out of there. Does have the Thorn Rose once again to get out of the Thorn Rose. Will we see him go out? Jared tries to go in Shadow Stampede. Ghostbusters to pick up the kill. Touch My Button will be going down as well. So good follow-up coming in from the side of CSL to make sure that what they lost out on was avenged.
That was a very hard AoE to escape, coming from the Faramis, Shadow Stampede, the ultimate coming from the Carmilla as well. It's a no escape for the Hanabi, and as well as the Kufa from that moment. I mean, if the Hanabi, if she was on Flicker, still could be a great change for escape, but that kind of way, if you want to utilize and get those items in early game, you might want to avoid that kind of situation if you want to keep pushing through, because they have great crowd control setups. Speaking of which, Penguin might be trapped in 3. He might not escape this one. Looks like Myleron on this Carmilla, rocking a 301 KDA, having a great start. And an advantage for this turtle to actually be taken by CSL.
I think the advantage is starting to slowly rack up inside of CSL. The goal lead about 1,000 right now. And look at it, they're already pressing in their advantage, going in the opposition jungle while their jungler picks up the turtle for themselves. The retribution to pick it up. Heavy crossbow. Sake going so aggressive with the hard guard on him. He knows he's kind of unstoppable at this point, because he has the penalty zone coming in from Groovy with the flicker. Netherrealm to save the team, but here comes the Black Dragon, the cavalry. Will we see the damage come out that he got by doing so much curse of blood? A little late to the party, but right now Fat Penguin has been missing his Tyrant Revenges. Will we see Touch My Button survive? No, he does not, but will take down the other side, Arxis, in return. So 2-for-2 trade coming in from both teams, and I think this is where we see CSL trying to, get a little ahead, get their heads a little big. They need to be a little more disciplined when it comes to these team fights, because they have the advantage. They don't want to be giving it away.
It's the most important word for this kind of situation. The discipline of CSL needs to come through, because that kind of penalty zone, that groovy groove, he really knows how to groove that penalty zone right onto 3.
Ooh.
Considering that damage just came from Touch My Bun or even from Noobmaster, I know at this point it's not enough yet, but what if they can buy time and get those items in right away? So that's kind of like a picture of danger for Team CSL to actually not make it happen. Though there's consequences in those kinds of team fights that they wanna keep on doing, or might wanna respect the situation that they're still growing their numbers. Because if we look at mid to late game, I think that Hanabi or even that maybe Lancelot could actually shine. It depends how the Vexano would actually prioritize the item. And hold that 3 might be pressuring Penguin, but he won't escape the fact that there was 3 trying to take him down. The Eternal Guard was used to hold off, but it wasn't enough to buy him time for escape. Looks like JRA on this Faramis is chasing down one. Looks like one is gonna be stunned out. Chill out, escapes, but use the flicker as a response. CSL putting pressure, giving so much advantage on this objective to be taken away.
And this objective has been the name of the game for the side of CSL. They've been able to pick up both the turtles so far. They're able to get these neutral objectives, and right now Black Dragon being baited out so early. Maybe they're going in for a re-engage, and right now Tyrant's Revenge being charged up, waiting for the right opportunity. Too late. Shadow Stampede, but the flicker penalties on Groovy Groove has been a monster on this Terizla. Curse of Blood coming out, but look at the damage that's being racked up at the same time. They can't really sustain, and now there's no way to follow up. Noobmaster going on towards JR, but JR, he will not survive thanks to the Phantom Execution. Meanwhile, in the backside, Groovy Groove will fall towards Myleron, and Myleron, although being a tanky jungler, is taking a little too much damage, but here comes the cavalry. Sake is there to dish out the damage, and the kill once again on towards Mileron. 6-0-3 on a Carmilla. And now for sure they'll be relying on Touch My Bun once again to provide the damage in the late game. But OSX, I think it might be too little too late because this Irithel is definitely online.
And on a snowball with a lead of almost 5,000 for Team CSL, Mileron having that 2 to 3 trade, they still win that kind of skirmish. They keep on forcing out resources, especially this purple. Looks like they're trying to hold this one through, but will it make it though? The question is, Hardguard is also sustaining the fight. Look at the damage pouring out of that Irithel. Just keep on doing it. The RC is taking out Kufra out, making a double, taking out Hanabi as well. And looks like Two's gonna be trapped from the old of the Carmilla. New Master is now burning out a slither of health. He might gonna be in trouble, but he's still safe. Oh no, he's not.
Oh, he
Forget
got
about
down.
it. He got down, completely taken out of the picture, and Chillout is left. And also Terizla, he was so close and making it back alive.
Yeah, I mean, the plays have been made, right, from the side of PFF. They're able to make the plays. The Terizla, oh my god, Groovy, if ever so. He's been so great on this Terizla. The flicker penalty zones have been on point. And Noobasher as well, he's able to cast the right targets. But I think it's Arxes that's making the difference. That's the power of that first pick Yuzhong we saw, right? OSX, we were talking about how early it is, but I think it's working for them. And that's what we like to see. And Chill Out here as well on this Vexana being a difference maker. It just comes down to the fact that if Fat Penguin is able to land the Tyrant's Revenge, he's been missing out on it quite a lot. If the timing is there, the Tyrant's Revenge maybe added up with the flicker and that big fat clap we love to see. I know I'm a Kufra player myself. I love to have that big fat clap come out. And look at that penalty zone going in towards on Sake. He still doesn't use the Purified Curse of Blood comes out, and there's a hard card to provide the heal as well. Fat Penguin, he might go down. He misses completely. Just catching Natalia, who's not seen in the game right now, and gets taken down himself. And CSL are slowly pressing their advantage as the Lord marches down the bot lane.
2 flickers used, and if you wanna be an effective Kufra with the old combo flicker, you might want to save that. But it was the timing that was missed by PFF to actually use against CSL. Now Lord's pushing down bottom. This kindly 10k gold lead by CSL. Now pushing through the inhibitor turret down ball. Looks like Black Dragon Farm is going to be used to just distract the back line, but Groovy Groove and as well as Noob Master can't do much about it. In this last inhibitor turret down bottom, base is open. Half HP on this Lord. Looks like another penalty zone connecting on to 3. What a great way of setup, but where there be a damage. Looks like the Faramis with the state of the Nether Realm being back on the Nether State. Now Team CSL looks like they're left with 3, having a 3-2 trade. Now base is open. Second inhibitors are falling down in this kind of game. CSL momentum starting from game number 1. They continue to game number 2.
Yeah, we get 2 games in this best of 7 series. The snowball is starting to get really big. Will PFF be able to make that comeback? The Hanabi relying on it. Yes, didn't have a great game, didn't have a bad game either, but I think it came down to the fact that not enough space was created in the early and mid game phase, and this game being even faster. OSX, that previous game, if that was 11 minutes, this was about 10 minutes 58. So around the same time the game is being ended, so they're looking to end the game with the first Lord itself. So they need to find a way to be able to defend. And of course Sake, this being a difference maker with this Irithel. I know you mentioned we don't see this Irithel often, and I did as well. But when it is up for grabs, and if someone with an expertise like Sake is able to pull it off, yeah, it goes to show what this hero can do. It's maybe not the hero, maybe it is the player at that point. But right now, I think CSL definitely have the upper hand, 2-0 in this best of 7 series. And the side of PFF better have a game plan to make that comeback, because they were doing all right. They had the setup, it just didn't work out. They need to find better picks on the table.
Yep, speaking of better picks, they still want to keep on trying this assassin pick. I still commend the team who would actually still want to push that kind of meta right now, because again, it favors the assassin so much. But if a team who's heavy on crowd control and utility, I think that's one way of being tested most of the times, don't you think? Because you might want to have a great follow up if you want to have an assassin around you. You need to be on a momentum, on a snowball, and how CSL maintained that early game momentum and pressure. It was kind of hard for them to actually see a perfect way for the Kufra to be utilized. I mean, you're a Kufra player. You would know that game-changing plays happen in the most crucial situations. But in that specific case that we saw light from that Kufra, the damage wasn't present just yet. But time also wasn't even in the favor of Team PFF. But if that kind of situation went in a longer pace, say for example later stage of the game or the late game, they would still have an advantage, don't you think?
Yeah, they would have the advantage, and like you mentioned, that how they're looking at picking up the assassins and making the difference with that. And like you mentioned, having that Kufra as well, they did have a slight bit of advantage in the late game, just because they had enough CC and no Purify on the other side. So yes, things were in their favor. Just the timing of their engages just wasn't right, and Fat Penguin really needs to start getting those fat ultimates right, because he's been missing out on these engages every time he tries to go in, set up something for his team. At one point, we saw Touch My Bun do a lot of damage with the Gunbun up top lane while TSL were trying to get a little too aggressive. But at the same time, they gotta find an answer, and that answer has to come up from the fact that they need to win either the goal lane or the EXP lane, because losing out on both sides just puts so much pressure into the jungle and the mid lane, which could be a big problem. And once again, when we take a look at the bans, the Export, the Roger being banned out, along with the Ling and the Herod. So CSL banning out Ling and the Herod, and the side of PFF taking out Export and Roger. Similar bans. Nobody wants to deal with the Roger. Nobody wants to deal with the Export. The Ling and Herod being taken off the table once again. So just goes to show the Moscow is still left open. The Benedetta wasn't really banned out in the previous game, and so we're just waiting to see how this draft is about to go down. But OSX, don't you agree? They gotta make some sort of changes and stuff when it comes to the approach in their draft, because if they don't, it could be too little, too late for them.
Well, if the Xborg, Ling, Harith, and Roger is banned, I think you might want to consider getting the Barretts right away, because if you want to talk about counter for face value or heroes, well, that's what you might want to take out of the picture, the Xborg, a perfect counter for utilities. So either they might steal something out, depends on who's gonna be in blue side or red side, because advantage might come on the priority. I think Team CSL knows how to utilize utility and as well as how to make crowd control lineups work, especially in this kind of meta. It favors them most of the time, but for the assassin picks, you need to have a great way of a roundup to make it actually work. If they want to push in with this kind of Lancelot pick, well, Hellcurt is still open. We also might see, we even saw Alpha being tested in the professional league, so a lot of things could actually show. Depends on being in the blue side. So now we're looking at our screens. We're looking at PFF having the priority this time around. So let's see. I'm excited if you want to change things up a bit. You mentioned about the adjustment. So what if they go utility this time?
I want to see utility. I want to see the Fredrin, right? The Fredrin's always being let through, and I don't think it should be. If the Fredrin's available first pick, I'm pouncing at that one. Not just me, a lot of other people. I know you as well, OSX. You see the Fredrin open, hey, I want to play the Fredrin. Give me that
Yep.
Fredrin, because it's going to be such a big difference maker. And finally, we get to see like a Matilda band come up. I'm not sure if this Tigreal is the way to go, but seems like they don't like it. And CSL ban out the Fanny. They're trying to sniff something out. Realize that, they still have a Fanny player that has to be respected. So don't want to deal with that and take it off the table. And right now, this is what I'm talking about. You got the Fredrin, and yes, the Angela's there, but you don't want to give away the Fredrin. He's such a strong pick. And for those of you who are watching, don't forget to like and subscribe to the stream, right? And make sure you show your love out to the OCC as well as the Oceania region, because this is the IESF World Esports Championship qualifiers here in New Zealand. My name is Kronos. For those of you who don't know, alongside me is OSX. We're going to be casting and bring you this action for today in this best of 7 series. And for those of you who are just joining us, CSL are already 2-0 up against PFF. The first pick this time being the Faramis. I like the Faramis.
Actually, a good strong pick for PFF to actually start with. So they might want to consider banning out the Valentina with this kind of situation, the priority, because if Team CSL wants to play around with the chance of basically stealing out ultimate, especially in team fights, having the two strong picks of the Claude or even the Yuzong, they might want to consider banning it out on this after this phase, because you don't. Wow, they're going on full support and sustain this time around for PFF. Yeah, Melissa. So the priority with the marksman as well. So either in this case, CSL might consider their mage pick. Okay, they will go with Angelo. Okay. So possibly this could still be on Rome. Still, a flex for CSL. But they might still have a chance to get that Valentina out.
But I would like to see the Valentina being picked up right now because you're giving away a little too much for that right now. I don't like the way that PFF are picking right now in their draft. They go for a double support comp, and that usually heavily relies on a frontline presence. And look at it, they take out Grooves Charizla. He has been such a monster, right? On this Charizla game number 1 and game number 2 for sure. And they take out the Lilia, so you know they're gonna go for some sort of a tanky jungle setup for sure right now. And on the other side, the Nolan is available. So we haven't seen a Nolan, and Malron pulls it out this time, realizing that it's a double support comp. You just need to get an expansion, fracture, boom, and you get the kill for sure. Now on the other side, have the Ling open finally. The Ling's not being, but Ling was banned out. I mean, Ling was banned out. And Amon is good, just got a recent buff. I think the Julian still makes the difference. But yeah, they need a frontline presence. I'm about to say, surprise, surprise. Finally, we get to see the Freddy being pulled up. And the Mincetar from Groovy Groove. So they're really pulling out all the guns. They're not pulling out all the stops right now.
This Minster could actually be in mid or even the EXP. Given the fact that they wanna, just go with the Fred on the last pick. I rarely see this kind of moment, but it's a good adjustment, again, for Team PFF because they're up against a Nolan, it's an assassin. So if now they're playing with crowd control, and this could actually be good in their lineup with the Mincetar and also the reach of the Melissa, and we have the global heal from the Florin as well as team fighting. Extended team fights from the Faramis. I think they want to answer more of the problems that happened in game 1 and 2. But having that last pick Vexana adds up more on the backline penetration that they want to do against this Melissa. So let's see how the layering of skills will go. Since there's Yuzong, there's a Claude. I think this is a better draft adjustment overall for PFF.
Yeah, it is a better draft adjustment, but for sure I still don't like that double support because they're relying heavily on Touch My Bun once again, putting all eggs in the one basket, right? But folks, let's not forget this is the World Esports Championship qualifier for the IESF, the road to Riyadh, in for New Zealand between the two teams, CSL, who are already 2-0 up against PFF. My name is Kronos, alongside me is OSX. We're going to bring you this action once again. Game number 3 in this best of 7. As you can see, the leash for the jump list have already begun.
Yep, and also this is hosted by OCC Australia. And this is looking really good for CSL, where they're scored 2-0 in this best of 7. After looking at how they want to start the jungle right now, the priority of these two teams would actually go in the gold lane. Pressure and also build momentum for their marksmen, Claude and Melissa. I think that's one important thing to have an investment with, especially if you're up against a Claude. Could be a mid to late game win condition. But if you want to amp up this Melissa, early game wise, you have the Florin and you have the Faramis. But the CSL really wants to counter this kind of win that they have. Half HP on this Faramis, and they're pushing more of the vision they can get. And that's the first one off cam kill up top in the EXP. And the Faramis falls.
They secured the pick of Arxie. This Yuzhong, I think he had Yuzhong all 3 games, been an absolute difference maker when it comes to team fights and the early game presence as well. And utilizing that, I thought he was about to get the red buff. I swear I thought Gold Solace was about to get the red buff and just missing out there. Noobmaster 69 able to pick it up. I was just surprised at one point. I look at the top lane, just zoning away the Mincetar entirely. And if they render Groovy Groove useless in the early game, it could be a big factor and it could be a big difference maker for them in this mid to late game phase. Because now without the frontline presence, it's going to be a difference maker. This is what I'm talking about. Numas
Ooh.
now already being taken down early. That's 2 kills going on towards the side of CSL. And CSL don't have as so much of a late game. It's all early game pressure, and they're starting to rack that up. And PFF better have an answer, and better have an answer quick.
Looks like they want to go in fast. CSL just continuing the pressure they have. Now, having the advantage of the first objective onto this game. The Angela and the Vexana now on level 3, almost approaching level 4. It's now a big no-no contest for PFF to have to just be in par with the CSL. Looking out how that Arxis or even Uzone zones out members of this team right now. It's just so scary to see. Look at this. That Faramis, and oh, wow, perfect Eternal Guard setup. That's a 3-man knockup. Now CSL following up what they have started. The Blazing Duet entry. What a perfect way to seal it under the defenses of PFF. But that kind of pull that Faramis, the Shadow Stamping, doing the work. Taking out a kill, and that is the Claude of CSL. A great way to still survive that onslaught.
Yeah, and it was 3 minutes into the game, and you see the Claude getting so aggressive already, so you know he's definitely confident. Sake, once he gets confident, he gets that snowball going. We saw that previously with the game on his Irithel, and right now with this Claude, I think nobody likes to see an early game Claude. That's why he's a late game monster, but here, there's the go away, and right now they're trying to get some damage going, but the Cuddles and Muddles combination enough to zone them out, and Sake is here to join the party once again. Meanwhile, the top lane, Arxis gets taken down, off-camera kill, going in towards Groovy Groove, if I'm not wrong, or was that Chill Out? But at the same time, it just comes down to these clutch ultimate uses, and the Netherrealm, the mid lane, was there to make a difference. Sake going in for the Blazing Duets, Bloom coming out, provides the heal. Meanwhile, off-camera kill once again, they take out Chill Out this time. Oh, the Appraiser's Wrath, no Master 69 just missed out. Hard guard coming in towards a play over here. Sake, will he be able to survive? BMI is in play just to get out of there. He gets caught. No, he does not. Will he be able to get out of there? It's so close right now, and Sake is able to survive thanks to the hard guard. He pops the vengeance, but still he's in. Oh my god! No, he's not. He finally gets taken down with the Ghostbusters and the Shadow Stampede that comes out from Chill Out. They're really playing with fire here, CSL. But at the same time, the side of PFF are not able to take the advantage.
Well, looking at those 2 takedowns against this Claude, clearly Team PFF is happy with that kind of trade. But if we look at the gold economy right now, it still favors CSL. So they want to keep on making those risky plays. And since they want to buy more time for the gold lane to activate that early, well, looking at the Melissa not having a death just yet, he's probably banking on items. He has the corrosion site now. So in team fights, they have a way to counter out the defenses of CSL it has right now. So the advantage will still come for the second objective, but they have a way to utilize with the Angela. Look at Noob Mass and Touch My Bun. They could be in trouble. Black Dragon form now being used to take down the Melissa out of the picture, and Penguin as well falls. That Vexana doing the work. That's a 3-man down with no trade at all. CSL an advantage for pressure and a takedown right away.
That was a good Black Dragon. Arxis has been on point with this Yuzhong. He has been the difference maker. Very consistent throughout this series. It's only game number 3, but it's been so consistent, as well as Groovy Groove in the EXP lane. I think both the EXP laners have been doing well, but the Claude here, Sake with absolute confidence, walking in and out whenever he wants to, and Myron doing the same on this Nolan. Look at that, Sake is so aggressive with the Blazing Duet along with the Vengeance. Shadow Stampede is there, but they get back off, and now they get a double kill onto JR. Meanwhile, at the same time, Groovy Groove has the King's Calling. No Master 69 still able to survive, but that's the triple kill onto versus JR. They want to go for a little bit more. Will we see the Maniac come out? No, but there is enough damage to show that they are here to take this game by storm. 5,000 goal lead at the moment, marching down the mid lane, getting the tier 2, and they want to get the tier 2 up top next as well. The Lord is going to be spawning soon enough. It's only 6 minutes into the game, but right now CSL are definitely pressing their advantage and making their presence felt in this game, in this series.
Yeah, CSL is really here to play, having the advantage of push takedowns. Looking at the KDA right now, and even the gold lead of CSL has built since the beginning of this game. They're just continuing the tide of putting out defenses out of PFF's hands. If they look upon the magic damage or even the damage potential of a late game win condition, it could come from either from the Mincetar or even for Touch My Bun, but this is just completely the pressure they want to keep on doing. Another turret taken down bottom, and now they're left with 3 inhibitor turrets. CSL using the advantage with the lead at 7 minutes. This kind of XP that Mileron has against Noob Master 69, that's 3 levels ahead. The gap of these two junglers is just a great massive difference, and now they secure this last third of this game and they have more ways to secure more resources out of PFF.
Like you mentioned, that level difference coming in, just showing that it's a big factor. Nolan going in for that. He gets caught with the King's Calling. There's no hard guard yet. Malron will be able to get the expansion just to make sure he gets out of harm's way. Meanwhile, Sake has been so confident. He jumped in with the BMI into the base crystal of the opposition. JR gets caught, able to flicker out of there. And once again, Sake, you can see the confidence that he's playing with. He doesn't really care who's there to stop him. He's able to BMI in and out whenever he wants to. He has the hard guard to help him out. The blazing duet to dish out all the damage. And if you have a late game marksman that's playing so aggressive in the 8-minute mark, yeah, it's looking bleak on the other side. Look at the recall taunts coming in, the TP being shown, and CSL for sure trying to show that they are one of the better teams. They're just trying to get to the mental of No Master 69, and they did. The fracture to get the kill. Netherrealm was there. Shadow Step, he gets the pull on towards 3, but who is there to dish out the damage? And here comes Sake with the blazing duel along with the Black Dragon for him in the backline. The Petrify with a 3-man. King's Calling being used, but everyone being pulled into it. But will it be a full 5-man wipeout? Yes, it is. And that's a Maniac going in towards JR. Will we see the Savage come out? Because the minions are marching down the mid lane. No Lord being secured, but still, there should be a possibility to end the game, but No Master 69 is able to make it back alive. But look at that, Malron going to the fracture, he picked up the kill, and oh my god, CSL are on the hunt, on the aggression. They're going for the base crystals. They do not want to waste any more time. They want to take this game by storm. 3-0 up in this best of 7 series. OSX, I know you're surprised, and so am I.
On a match point, CSL repeating the same thing on game number 2. They don't care about turrets, they don't care about defense, just dive right away, and you see those recalls just showing completely the confidence and the advantage just rising up for this team. CSL 3-0, and that is just completely their momentum that just been ridden from game number 1. It's all about the start that you want to do in the best of 7 series. Wow. CSL looks like they wanna take a slice out of this qualifiers, Kronos.
God, they want a big piece of the pie. They don't just want the slice, they want the entire pie for themselves. And OSX, it's been an absolute monstrous game, and I love the way you take a look at the stats. Sake has just been an absolute monster. Mileron as well, the entire team, and Arxes just being there at the perfect time to provide the dive whenever necessary. Just goes to show that they're not just here to compete, but they're here to take this tournament by storm, win the entire one, represent New Zealand on the big stage, and they're definitely showing up right now just to give a show for the viewers and us casters as well. And at the moment, I think it was just such a dominating fashion. They won all 3 games, and we possibly, I think OSX, I don't know, I don't think we gotta say anything else. It's just waiting for the host to come back, and I know she's here right now to give us some company. 707. What do you think? What do you think about those games? I was pretty excited, and I know OSX was as well. I know you were watching in the background for sure. You must be up and pumping.
It was really nice to see the Angela being picked in all 3 games. I feel like that's such a meta in Oceania servers, so it was nice to see the picks that I always see as well in our server being used in a competitive scene. So yeah, that was nice. But yeah, let's give it up for the 2 teams and how hard they've been working to provide these games for the IESF. We are taking a 20 to 30 minute break before proceeding to our 4th round of the match. Before we do, we want to extend our heartfelt thanks to New Zealand Esports for giving us the opportunity to host this incredible event. A huge shout out to all of our viewers and supporters for your enthusiasm and dedication to make events like these happen. We'll be back shortly after this break, so stay tuned, everyone.
Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from the break and back into the New Zealand IESF qualifiers. Starting off with a big shout out and thank you to all of our viewers for their support and constant enthusiasm tonight. Additional thanks to our sponsors, Hyperfiber and Red Bull. We are now drawing into the fourth game of the day in this best of 7. So sit back, remember to stay hydrated, grab some Red Bull, and take it away, OSX.
Yo guys, what's up? Welcome back. Thank you so much to 707. Now we're going back to the land of dawn as one more game awaits for Team CSL to push it through the final stage of this IESF qualifiers. What's up, Kronos? We're back on the draft in a few moments from now.
Hey, OSX, I'm pumped. I'm excited. I had some things to take care of while we were on that short break. Made sure I was back in for the money part of it. Got to make sure we're doing all that we can just to provide a little bit of whatever every team needs and all the excitement that's been going on right now. Nobody wants to miss out on it for sure. And I think we're excited. Game number 4 in this best of 7 series. It's looking like, a snowball that might be happening soon enough, but will we see that happen, or will we see a possible reverse sweep comeback that we all love to see every single time? Just a matter of time till we find out, because like you mentioned, we should be getting straight into the draft. But before we get into that, OSX, what do you think should be the difference maker? What do you think they should do a little differently to make sure they have an opportunity to even possibly make it a reverse sweep?
Yeah, I've been finding a lot of changes from the draft from game 1 to 3. Something tells me that the minute that we started the series for this best of 7, we were trying to figure out the possible identity, the uniqueness of the other team, again the FPP, to actually push through in most of the challenge. I've been really finding a way to see more of their play style. I'm looking for a chance to, will they go blend in with the utility, or will they go blend in for the assassin? Because we've seen some aggressive moments in some sort of great highlight plays that we see from game 1 to 3, but one thing was also missing was how the coordination will be important, how the rotation of CSL has been doing from game 1 and 3. That's one problem that needs to be addressed at most of the time. They start with the draft, but one thing that I want to see with adjusting with the team of FPP is they need to make sure on how the execution will go, because macro wise, Team CSL has more advantage to use most of that plays against them.
Yeah, true. The macro advantage is what we want to see, right? That's the main thing that will be the difference maker when it comes to these big team fights, and how they'll go about. But look at that, the bans coming out. This time they take out the Yuzhong. They don't want to have any problems with it whatsoever. Taking it off the table completely. And now it will be a different game changer. Right now we get to see Arxes play something else. And I kind of missed out on the other bans. Yeah, Ling, Moskov, Yuzhong, and Roger, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yep. And looking at those bans, either CSL goes for the utility once more, or will they just go with the assassin? They have so much Well, chances of just utilizing the assassin, man. We've seen the Nolan, we've seen the Angela being favored in their lineup. So in that kind of composition, well, they can do much anything as of this point for CSL. You mentioned about a possible snowball that could happen in this best of seven. So if they want to push this to another game, that team needs to adjust on what kind of play style they want to do up against CSL.
Yeah, definitely. The adjustment is what we want to see from PFF, and at the same time, we want to see that big 4-0 sweep come out from CSL themselves.
It is in
So only a matter
despair
of
that
time
I
till we
see
find
the
out whose
fondest
game is it gonna
hopes.
be. Look, the way it's going, it feels like it's gonna be a 4-0 sweep. And looking at the bans, they take out the Natan straight off the bat. No late game presence whatsoever. They don't want to deal with it. The Herod being pulled away as well. And now let's see what else they have in store on the other side.
Well, speaking of being in the blue side right now, taking the Nathan and the Rizla, I think one thing that CSL is trying to brew up with their their lineup and their play style is protect the back line at all costs. That's where they shine. And most of the time that we see how AoE gives so much impact on team fights from CSL, I want to see an Avaria in this game. We've seen the Faramis, we've seen Vixen. How about that? Combining with an AoE, and we want to talk about the Luo Yi. And also the chip. There's so much in the table for CSL to take. Don't you think?
I agree. The Louis and the chip is something that teams have to prioritize, and I think if the region of Oceania and New Zealand don't really know what they gotta pick up, trust me, just pick up the Louis. Oh my God, look at that! It's like CSL heard you and that your wish is my command. I hear you. You want a Novaria, and you get to see one right now.
Well, that is some sort of AoE coverage you wanted to see because again, they play with macro game and they want to have a great coverage on the map. Having that Novaria, yes, it spikes up at maybe 8 minutes up of the game, but one thing that we could see this Novaria shine if they want to place it either on the mid or the roam. Okay, so this is where the final
Exciting.
stance of team FPP to actually go within this kind of game. They want to do with the biggest. They've been saving up for this very moment, the Louis and the Ruby. So with this kind of combo, I've seen this in some of the professional leagues do this. So if you want to go with Wave Cliff, if you want to counter out the macro game that CSL has been doing from games 1 to 3, why don't you pair it with a Claude, right?
I have long
Really
awaited
just the
this
late game
glorious
presence as
day.
well, and late game monster when it comes with that pairing. And now they get the Carmilla, so I like the Carmilla that's being picked up right now, and it might add on to the little extra pressure when it comes to these team fights, and it could be
It's
the
my
difference
way
maker
or
once
the
again.
highway.
But the
Your
Lapu
team is
Lapu
banning.
as well, just pairing up the Curse of Blood with the Bravest Fighter could be a big game changer. On the other side, they pick up the Ixia though, so they have the sort of a late game presence. So we've seen 4 different marksmen come out from the side of PFF, or yeah, PFF, and right now it's just I want to see
Always on the
how
way.
the other side
Your
responds.
team
Golan
is
are not being
banning.
picked up yet. It could be a factor when it comes to these late game engages. And at the moment, let's see how the bans. The Matilda being taken off the table, and what will be the next one?
Well, that was a good ban for FPP. So considering that they wanna
Sir,
use this
what's your
extra in the
command?
Luo
Your
Yi,
team
so
is
this gives
picking.
them an advantage to not be invaded in team fights. That circling eagle threat that CSL can actually do against them is a big of a factor if they fall down in team fights. Because if the Ixia uses her ultimate right onto the Lapu Lapu or the Novaria, this really negates out the full barrage to be in a great place or a situation. So it's a good ban on to see where they can level this kind of aggressiveness that they can do as they build up from mid to late game. So I also thought that was gonna be Hanzo, but I think they want to go for the utility this time around.
Yeah, what to say? They caught me off guard, and a big sigh of relief. I'm like, are we gonna see a Hanzo in the Land of Dawn? I know the Hanzo's a great hero and provides a lot of that early game dominance, and especially in the mid to late game, you want to see a big snowball. But the Barracks being picked up is understandable. They need a little bit more frontline presence to pair up with this Louis to make sure the Louis can dish out all the free
Paraji is
damage
my
that's
craft.
necessary.
Diggy is my
But
name.
right now, the Leslie coming out from
Lightning
CSL.
reveals all.
Yeah, they're not
Your
holding back
team
this whole.
is
They're saying
picking.
you got a marksman hero pool, so do we. And pull off the Diggy. But a Diggy against a Louis, not the most favorable composition at that.
Wow. Okay, that's too much crowd control now. Like, you have the Ruby, you have the Tonus Welcome, a stun from the Ixia and the Kaja. So this could actually all be denied by a Diggy, since there's a front line that could actually be a great line of defense, which is the Lapu Lapu. So with this, wow, they're really taking it into a full confident last pick with this Kaja. So with Diggy being present here, they need to make sure on who to target in CSL. Will it be the Leslie? Could be for the Kaja. Will be the Ruby catching the Leslie? Still, it could go other ways. So with this final pick, that the Diggy would be a great benefit for team fights, or actually deny most of the setups that Team FPP has. They need to be careful on where to place this kind of skills, especially with team fights and even ganks.
That's the team fight presence that we want to see right now. And ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends of all ages, we're here straight into the land of God, because potentially it could be the final game as CSL are at match point in this best of 7 series against FPP. And right now, let's see who's gonna take away this best of 7, or will we see that miracle comeback from the other side? Right now, both the junglers get ready to go, because it's gonna be definitely a show at the goal lane, the EXP, even the mid lane, because early game aggression is the name of the game for this one.
Well, aggression it is for Penguin. You want to see some information out of the jungler, Myleron, using the Carmilla once again. So maybe as of the lineup that they have with the Tonus Welcome, with the Divine Judgment, this could be a great line of pressure for the Diggy to be effective in the gold lane. They could pull out resources out of this Diggy when it hits level 4. So it depends how they want to go with this kind of situation, because the Kaja and also the Barrett's early game has a lot of potential for ganking, as well as that kind of pressure that they can do for the EXP. But looking at the pressure they want to do against the gold lane, I think it's always about the Leslie and the Carmilla.
Yeah, I think it comes down to how they'll be looking at making that comeback possible. Like you said, just take out all the resources coming in from the gold lane as well, especially when it comes to this Diggy. The Diggy should be able to provide the zone. Using those ticking time bombs will be a difference. And right now you can see the gold lane Curse of Blood being used. Myleron going in quite deep, gets back, that's my bun. He gets the first blood, and that will go to the hands of JR. Meanwhile, on the top side, Arxis will fall at the same time.
Wow, EXP down, Arxis, you don't want to see the kind of situation if you want to go be in par and taking the first objective on this game. This is the turtle, and if you're an XP lane, if you're a Lapu Lapu, you don't want to be low in this kind of situation that you can zone out members of team FPP right now. So it's kind of a good way to give pressure for the EXP, because if a Lapu Lapu engages really well against a Luoi or even the Ruby, they might be forced to respond and use resources, unnecessary resources as this. Look at that, Arxis just being back. We've been talking about him being the first to fall. Looks out there following up with a kill. Flickers out for this Luo Yi, and looks like it's Myleron having a free chance of getting this turtle, but this is still Groovy Groove not letting go of this chance. Just getting vision. Diggy is still present. Will he be able to steal this? No, he won't. He might get punished for this, but that ult won't connect to him. Flickers out. He knew what's coming. Oh, looks the chase. Looking at the chase right here, it's still Groovy Groove not going to be in a safe situation. Arxis takes him down.
I think it's hard to bite off more than they can chew, right? Want to make that risky play, the make or break play for his team, because we know the first turtle, if the Barracks is able to get something out of it, it could be a difference maker, start snowballing into this mid and late game. But on the other side, Chill Out just doing so much damage and providing zone for his team, because the Ruby couldn't handle it, and Arxis as well. Just, you know, trying to get it at the same time. Meanwhile, Touch My Bun might get caught. Here's the diversion play. Will we see it? No. And yes, we do. And here's to save the day. We'll get taken down. The damage is just too much from Sake here. Gets the Berserker's Fury. And this is a Leslie in the 3-minute 40-second mark, getting the Berserker's Fury already.
So much toolkit has been utilized by CSL. Sake 101 on this Leslie. Now he could have an advantage. Just keep on doing what he just do best. The damage from coming in from the camouflage is a great way to do against this team. Look at that. Wow, the tornado welcome right onto the wall. A 2-man on the perfect setup for Team FPP, but will they have the fall for damage? Penguin now being stunned by Sake, and Sake wants to keep on going with the hits. Touch My Bun takes down Smile Ron, but that's an exchange of 3-2, and looks like Sake has more ways to take him down. He falls. That's a double for this Leslie.
And that's a late game Leslie that we like to see, right? This late game Leslie already started to get going in this early game. 4 minutes 30 seconds to have the first turret up for grabs, and if you take a look at the goal lead as well, quite substantial right now coming in. It's about 4K at the moment, and this Leslie's already 2K up against the Ixia. It could be a big factor that's going to be played right now as the second turtle is up for grabs.
4K gold lead for CSL. They're loving what they have started. Clearly, they're just pushing out so many possible unnecessary team fights that this team could not actually handle. Now, transporting by the diversion, he wanted to place Kaja right onto a better spot, but looks like he got spotted by Leslie, using that ultimate to spot one down, but the barrage will be the zone out potential for FPP, but it won't make the cut. CSL takes down one, Chill Out falls, that's a killing spree, make a triple for Sake, and the CSL, another advantage for this objective.
OSX, I know we're casting, but like, let's take a step back and look at this lead, right? It's 6,000 compared to, you know, the previous few games that we saw. I think this is the fastest and the highest goal lead we've seen. And also Sake, we know what a Leslie can do in the late game, right? It's just one shot, one kill. That's what it comes down to, dealing that true damage. But right now, 6-0-3. Are you kidding me? The way that it's going about. Look at that divine judgment on Smile Ron, thirst of blood. Oh my god, they just get burst immediately. And right now the domination factor coming in from CSL is clear for everybody else to see. Yeah, I mean, I need to find a way for them to make a comeback, but it's looking bleak for the other side.
7-0-4 onto this Leslie. If I play Leslie as of my ranked games, you might want to have that 10-minute advantage of getting those items in, but this kind of space that this marksman has for CSL, he's more than happy to be more aggressive and be confident. Looks like there's a play happening. Archer spots them out, but will they be successful with this kind of diversion play? Somebody might get me in trouble from the back. Ruby Groove falls, but from the back, will they see this with a defense? But looking at gold Solace, that's Archer's getting double. They knew what's gonna happen. Touch My Bun is looking for a way to defend himself, but he won't make the escape back to his base. Sake, legendary, and 22-5, a wipeout. CSL with the advantage and dominance, they push through and slowly taking on the inhibitor turret right in mid.
Recall taunts coming, and look at that, the Diggy himself is doing so much damage right now, and Diggy with the ticking time bombs that's starting to stack up, it is going to start hurting right now. And I wish we could take a look at the items, because I want to see how bad is it, how ahead is this Diggy as well, because 10,000 goal lead on the side of CSL. Yeah, it's starting to look bleak, and I think if I was on the other side, FPP, they need to be looking at make a play, and that's the play that they made. They get the shutdown, and the full barrage comes up, but here's the Curse of Blood, just to see the stun. New Master 69 being pulled back, fully fall down. Yes, he does. Yes, they get Sake, but two in return at the same time, and that was an all Hail Mary play, but not working out on the favor of FPP.
Well, the favor now is with CSL. Turret still up. Only the turret down bottom has been the defense down out of CSL. They just keep on using all of these possible camps from green to blue to push out this team to get in for resources, but this is still a struggle to be in the front line of this kind of composition. If we might look at the possible way of getting a setup, there's so much ways to utilize this Kaja or even the Barretts, but being in the front line, being a Kaja right now with the momentum that Team CSL has, you might want to have more than dominance ice. You might even have a dreadnought just to even survive a second out of the damage that you can get either from the Novaria or even the Leslie. At this point, he might get punished if he makes a play.
Especially now that you look at the item score for the fleeting time as well. Not the right time to pick it up because you know, like you just mentioned, that he's not able to tank any sort of damage. So as soon as he dives in, if he gets taken out instantly, especially with that reverse time being a difference maker from Gold Solace, it could be a problem for the side of FPP. And CSL just trying to make the advantage. We've seen them end the game in first Lords, 11-minute mark games all the time. Look at the recall taunts coming in, and Groovy Groove might be the difference maker. Oh, he just gets burst down instantly with 2 shots coming in from Leslie. The Lord marching down the top lane. Arxie's going in with the but the Divine just been able to pull him out. Full Barrage comes in. They get the kill on towards Lu Yi, and as well at the same time Arxie falls, but the Lord is here. Going at the base crystal. Saki is doing so much damage at this point. There's the ultimate sniper. He gets the kill onto his Barrett as well. But they're focusing at the base crystal. And this is game number 4 being taken away by the side of CSL, making it 4-0 in utter domination in the World Esports Championship IESF qualifiers for New Zealand. And they will be the representatives for Oceania at the moment. And GG, well played for their side.
Yep. Even the Bard says, yeah, GG's was fun. Noobmaster 69 clearly admits that it is all part of like an experience pace that they want to deal with, because being in the qualifiers for the Oceania and New Zealand is an opportunity that every squad or every team or even a player wants to experience. But for being on top, CSL is a representative for NZ. Exciting times ahead for this federation, and that is just how they want to do it. Is best of 7. 4-0 Kronos.
Utter domination, right? OSX, utter domination. That is the game, name of the game. We were speaking about how they need to get the momentum. They got the momentum, and then they utilized that, turned it into an advantage, and just made that big snowball that was such a big difference maker. And the other side just couldn't do anything to stop them from making a comeback at all whatsoever. And CSL showing that they're the better team, showing that they're the best team here in Oceania. And of course, shout out to both the teams, but unfortunately only one can be the victor, and that came out to be CSL this time.
Yep, CSL completely continuing momentum on the very beginning of the series. We talk about how you want to step your best foot forward in this kind of series. Momentum tells a lot of factors if you want to go forth. Let's continue to bring dominance across the league. And looking at this final stats, 26-7, having 20, well, that's 24 assists on this league. This is the best wingman award after you get after the rank game, right? So at this point, they're really happy to make everything work. And even the Leslie were surprised and even excited how this marksman pick showed how the Novara even work. And it was a big of a struggle for FPP to counter out, especially with the defense. I was excited to see more of the Louis plays, and they had an attempt to access the back line with the diversion play. So it's kind of like a struggle, because it was a question of defense and armor for the Codger, even for the Barretts, or even for the Ruby. So if they can continue, or they can continue to push it through the later stages of the game, they might have the damage or even the defense. But Team CSL says, no, we don't have time for that. And in New Zealand, and if you're in the Philippines, they're ahead by 7 hours. So they really want to take it quicker than expected.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it all came down to how they are comfortable with their heroes, the drafting, and I think the level of skill, you can see the potential that's always there for both teams, for both sides. It's just a matter of fact how they will be exposed, and the exposure to such big tournaments, that'll be the key factor for them. And I think FPP on the other side got the exposure that they needed, and that's why they said, hey, GG's, well played, it was fun, but at the same time they learned quite a lot. And I think like I said, just one team comes out to be the victor, and unfortunately it was for the other side, it was CSL this time. Maybe next time they will be able to take a piece of that pie, but for now, that's the story that will be here in this tournament. And obviously shout out to the OCC to make sure to let this event happen, and of course to having me, Kronos, as well as OSX up on desk. And it's been an absolute pleasure, OSX, and I know for a fact you enjoyed it as well. But for now,
I did.
I think Yeah, I know. I think let's pass it back to the host, right? 707 should be waiting there, smiling, ready to give how this tournament was going about. Oh, 707, take it away.
That was truly a fun tournament to watch. So let's give it up for Crimson Solace for being the first MLBB champions of New Zealand. And next, mark up your calendars for Oceania qualifiers on Monday, 24th of June, where Crimson Solace will face off against Guam. The winning team will carry the Oceania banner at the Asian qualifiers happening in September. But before we draw the curtains, a huge shout out to the OCC team, a huge shout out to the casters, Chronos and OSX. A huge shout out to Chua for being the lobby host. A huge shout out to the production team, Kaleo, Marcosaurus, Tensei. A huge shout out to our voice moderator, Shan. And a huge shout out to our viewers, obviously, especially Combat Cat Gaming, I see you. And of course, New Zealand Esports for giving us the honor of hosting the first NZ qualifiers. Our viewers, thank you all for your support. This has been the first ever New Zealand IESF qualifiers, and this is OCC 707 signing off. Have a good day.